bring it over here. Okay. And now, well, that's muted. That's why. Oh, I'm such a dumbass. Now will it work? And now, well, that's muted. That's why. Oh, I'm such a dumbass. But I can see it should be working. And now, well, that's muted. That's why. Oh, I'm such a dumbass. But I can see it should be working. And now, there we go. Nice. Now hopefully someone will show up, and they better hurry if they want to see this bird, because he's going to get bored and he's going to leave. And put that down there. Pull this down here. Pull this over here. And pull this back over here. Put that up like that. Put that up like that. And so now I can see the stream. So who went live? Load more. I don't know. Anyway, so you guys have a few minutes to come and see this bird. And he's probably going to get bored shortly and leave the scene and sit on the perch over there on this cage over here and be out of the picture. I tried to set up a thing earlier where I would have something to eat and have some tea and sit and talk to the bird with you guys, but he wasn't agreeable earlier, and he would not come over here and sit with me while I ate and had some tea. So now we're sitting here without food and having a Coke. And as soon as I get bored, I'm going to end this silly thing and do something else.
See, when you get to that point, guys, never go off the point. And I messed that up, you know. No, yeah, it was my fault. It was my fault. I admit I was wrong because I went out to go find the right heart. If I would have stayed on there, I would have took whoever that was on the point. Or I took most of them out.
Now you can hear Naturo because I'm watching his stream at the
That's
moment.
why I was telling them to stay on the point. You see the reason why. We actually would have won, actually, that because we was like 30 seconds. So that's one mistake you don't make. You have to be careful what you do. That's one example I tell y'all when y'all play this game. And, you know, Frozen know, and all my Overwatch people in here know this. Don't fight on the point, die on the point. Don't ever get off that damn point. They want you to get off the point. If people got to have your last ass breath, and you crawling, don't get off of it. Just look what happens when you do. If you have one person, like have a fever, they can take out like something, you just do it. that's the way how it is. That's one tip I give people when they get Overwatch. And sometimes I mess that up myself. You see, I made a mistake. I should have down the point, but I was trying to keep them alive and kill them. You know, so I don't know. That's just my tip to you. So, how are you, Fish? How are you? By the way, it's a new character. By the way, as you see, Fish, this is the new character. You see her? That's the new character, Fish. If you want to play some, I might play tomorrow. Yeah, yep. She just came out. She's pretty good. She can't be playing the competition yet. It's gonna take a while for her. See, you can't use her. Hello. 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 Because
Hey Al, what's going on,
she's
man?
new.
I've been waiting for someone to show up. I didn't really announce
It's
it,
gonna take a while before she do it.
but
You gotta get used to
I
her.
told Lowdown the other day I was gonna try and get together and let some of you meet this bird here. And so this is Manny,
Get used to her. You already
and he
know.
is 13 years old, and he's a yellow-naped Amazon, and you can see the color of the back of his neck, which is how he got his name. And he's kind of a sweetheart most of the time, but he can get pretty mad. He's a wild animal, and I'm not a very good bird trainer, but even the best trained wild animals sometimes turn on their trainers, so that's the best you can expect. But right now he's being a really good and friendly guy, and I wanted to get together earlier and kind of do some social eating, but he didn't want to come around, and so I ate without him and had a cup of tea and brought him back now. But this isn't the guy that makes the noise that sounds like a smoke detector that some people hear when I'm playing games with them. This is the one that talks when he wants to, but he probably won't talk on camera because he's kind of shy. And he does like to look at himself, though.
Alright, so we need a tank. Maybe a soldier? Yeah, we got two tanks. Let's say we need a tank. Maybe a Hanzo soldier? Yeah, I give you that. Very good. You gotta be open with it. It's very
And if I
good.
can here, I'll get him to.
Alright,
If he's not too
so
tricky, I'll
once
get him
you
to come around
get
front,
a tank, I'll give you
and I'll
some.
give him some
Also,
hugs for you.
I'll give you a tank.
And I defy you to find very many people who can actually hug their Amazon parrot, because they usually
Alright,
don't
so
like to
we
do
need
that.
Diva.
And the only way to do that is to handle your birds a whole lot.
You don't gotta come to me.
My wife can't do it, and I don't know why he lets me do it, but he lets me do it. And Amazon parrots do not just let people hand them this way. But he is really a sweetheart, especially for a male Amazon, because male Amazons are known to be very territorial and just not this way for sure. Not real gentle and snuggly creatures. But this bird is just awesome. He isn't always this way. He'll go through periods where he really doesn't want to be touched very much. But right now he's being really nice, and that's kind of why I thought it was a good time to show him off. And if he gets bored and leaves, I'll try and fetch that other bird and show him to you. But that other bird doesn't like me very much.
Alright, get the point, guys. Alright,
It's
let's distract.
really Julie's bird, and tolerates my presence and lets me feed it and water it and change the papers at the bottom of its cage, but not very much else. He'd rather just bite my feet. Oh yeah, this bird and the other bird we got. Actually, the other bird we had longer. They're both 13 years old. The other one we got when it was probably 10 weeks old. It had just been weaned by the breeder, not by the breeder, but by the person who hand raised him after the breeder. This one we got when he was almost a year old, and the bird shop owner, who we kind of knew pretty well, sort of suckered me into him at the time and said, "What will you give me to take this bird off my hands?" Because for one, it's very hard to sell a male yellow-naped Amazon because of the way they can get aggressive and territorial. and no one had given him an offer to buy him. And so I said, well, uh, for the price that he wanted me to buy him, I said, if you throw a cage in with that, I will take him off your hands. And he did that, and we've had him ever since. So we've had him about 12 years, but he is 13 years old. And when we got him, he didn't have any yellow on the back of his neck, and they grow into that, and he didn't talk, but he was still a pretty gentle guy at the time. And he's just a young bird too. The legend has it that these birds can live 80 years, and I think 60 years is generally accepted as a captive lifespan. And yeah, he's going to outlive us, and so we'll have to make arrangements for him when we are no longer here. Oh yeah, he's comfortable, and he is a guy. He is a male, little guy. He's kind of a big guy. For a bird, he's a pretty big bird, and he's pretty fat as well. But that's Julie's fault. She feeds him lots of stuff that a bird shouldn't eat. The other bird we do not know, because as with most parrots, you cannot tell by looking at them, and that other parrot had not been sexed before we bought it, and we have had no reason to do it, because the only way to do it is uh, either by drawing blood from them or surgically. And if you don't need to do it, it's really not good to take blood from a bird, because they don't have a very large blood volume, and I'm definitely not going to subject them to a surgery if they don't need it. They could fly away. Both of my birds are flighted. We do not clip their wings, and if we let them outside, they would fly away probably, but not because they wanted to get away, but because they got startled by something, and in panic they just flew straight in a line and never came back. But they don't go outside, and I don't think they want to go outside because they're afraid of what's outside. They don't like shadows. If they see shadows on the ground here in the house when the sun's shining in the window, they will fly around and panic a little bit. And around here you can see out the back window here, that's Lake Superior, and up the shore here we have a bald eagle nest that usually has 3 eagles, 2 adults, and a juvenile, and they fly back and forth here because down the shore that way is a small little island where mergansers and seagulls nest, and so they go down there to prey on those birds, and so they're back and forth all the time, and these birds see an eagle, and all they see is a predator, and that makes them afraid as well. Yeah, eagles and they don't care for crows and seagulls, but those don't make them panic. But anything that looks like a bird of prey will make them panic. And eagles in South America and Central America, where he is native to, are natural predators. The other birds from Africa, although they were both bred here in the United States in captivity, the other bird's an African bird, and I don't know what his natural predator is. Oh, you wouldn't freak out. They're all over around here, and most of the time they're doing mundane things like sitting in the median of the highway eating a deer carcass with a bunch of crows. So they are not very majestic animals when you see them in real life. If you've ever been to the Alaskan coast, you'll see them in the trees around the salmon fisheries, like pigeons or scavenging birds, just eating the leavings from from the salmon fisheries.
Alright, so I'm over here. My own mom. If I hit my own, y'all gotta hit them hard. Alright. See, now they just doing
Eagles might, yeah, I don't know about eagles so much as being aggressive, but I think
so I got my
other birds of prey will be aggressive towards small dogs or maybe cats if they're left outside and unsupervised, but I don't think bald eagles, generally speaking. But we have hawks and falcons around here as well. And there are also other predators around here like coyotes and wolves and foxes and the other day our neighbors saw what I think is a lynx sitting on their back deck. So there are plenty of animals around here that will eat your small dog if you leave it outside. Occasionally have bears here, and all they do is knock over the compost bin.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, we did well.
Yeah, you probably, if you look hard enough, but you can find videos of bears chilling inside houses that they get into, and they create a huge mess when they get into a house.
Hit them hard, guys. Alright, so this is what we gotta do. We have to go toxic. No, well, we gotta go toxic, guys. So we can do it. I'm gonna hit gypsum Metra because I'm gonna switch it up. We need Torborn. We need
Turn him
Orisa.
down. Yeah, well, they smell something good in the house, and they'll break through a window or they'll break down a door, and they'll get in. Usually be someone's seasonal cabin that they spend the summers at, and in the winters the bear will be hungry and wandering around looking for something to eat and get in. Yeah, you were hearing a Turo. I had a stream. I didn't have it turned down low enough to keep it inaudible. He's been playing Overwatch all day, and I don't know how good that is for him if he has to avoid stress because he's been raging about it a little bit, but you know, I'm not his keeper, so he'll do what he wants. I just wish he would turn the game audio off so he doesn't have to hear what other people have to say. That would go a long way toward making it less stressful, I think. Yeah, there was that incident. That guy was a son of a bitch, and I think we dealt with it, but who knows? I never turn on game audio when I'm playing in a public game. It's usually, as in that incident, it's usually the most toxic thing that you can encounter in entertainment. Right, that's understood, and that's probably why I would never play a competitive match with a group of randoms. I played non-competitive games with groups of people who were just acquaintances, and if you are not as skilled as they expect you should be at the game, then they can get angry too, and so it happens in non-competitive games as well, and I've had enough of that. Let me go over here for a second and see if I can grab this other bird. I'll be right back. Hey, hey, Sleepy, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here, Sleepy. There we go. There we go. This is T.O., and he's a Jardine's parrot, And he's also 13 years old, and he's from West Africa. And he's a lot smaller, but if you look at them, you can't really see them right next to each other at this time, but their beaks are the same size. So this little guy here, he has a really hard bite for the size of bird he is, and he's a really dense and heavy bird for the size of bird he is, and when he flies, his wings whistle through the air. He's really, really fast. But most of the time, when we're home and he's out of his cage, he's just hiding out somewhere. He's got I don't know if you've seen those fuzzy huts that they make intended to be cat houses, but we have one of those for him set up in the other room, and he just goes and gets in there and hides out all day most of the time. And so he's a pretty quiet bird. This other one here likes to be around the people. Hey, Chi. Hey, Chi. Yeah, see, he's not my buddy. And he's probably a little pissed off because he was just sleeping and I woke him up to bring him over. All right, no glasses, no glasses, stop it. The things on their ankles are their ID bands that they're given by the breeder when they're newly hatched. And if they ever get lost, you can use that to identify if someone stole them. They can always cut that off. So some people like to put chips in under their bird's skin. But we don't really have a problem with bird thefts around here. There might be parts of the country where you do. I know in the United Kingdom, where birds are popular pets, that there are problems with people stealing them, but people tend to keep their birds outside of the United Kingdom, and that's not very common here in the States, especially in Minnesota, where it's too cold to keep them outside. Yep, nothing so fancy. It's just an aluminum band. It's pretty soft metal, or maybe not soft metal, but pretty easy metal to cut off. Like I said, it's only easier for them to get lost if they go outside, but these guys don't go outside. When we had this big guy here, uh, in the first year during the summer, I was able to get a harness on him with a leash, and I was able to take him outside. And then when the season turned and it was too cold to take him out, I stopped putting the harness on him. And by the time next summer rolled around, there was no way he wanted to have that back on him. He was no longer used to it. And that was the end of taking the bird outside. Compared to a wild bird, they do not get as much exercise as they should probably have. But being flighted, they get a lot more exercise than birds who are clipped hat to get. But still, this guy especially are overweight because they eat a lot of food. Amazons are known for really liking to eat and does not get a lot of exercise. You can see his belly here. Look at your belly. This guy here doesn't overeat nearly as much as this one here. He likes to eat people food. He doesn't so much. Yeah, I don't think I ever got him to fly with the harness on. I think he was too afraid of being outside to think about flying. We did take him to the neighbor's house and brought him inside where he proceeded to poop on the floor. That was about the most excitement that he had wearing the harness. Yeah, that's right. Bad manners, right? You getting ready to leave? You getting ready to leave? Or no? You look like you're going to leave. You can go. You can go. You can go. You're afraid to go, huh? You don't know where to go? They get along. They like to be around each other. They don't live in the same cage, and they don't really play together, and they don't like to eat together. But they do, I think they do appreciate each other's company. They will sit together close to each other. And if one flies to the other room for some reason, the other will often follow. And I don't know if it's because they like each other or just like to know what the other is doing. But the reason we have more than one is because we both work long days, and we just thought it would be nice for one bird to have another bird to spend the day with when the people they were uh, accustomed to were not around, so they wouldn't feel alone. It's also kind of a nice thing when they have to go to the vet. Misery sort of loves company. They're not going alone to get shots and stuff. Yeah, they don't really fight. They do a little bit of beak sparring if we put out a bowl of food and they both want it at the same time, but other than that, they don't really fight. And I think it's very funny that they both actually hung around here this long. They usually get bored and take off. Yeah, if you get three dogs, it's probably easier or at least more predictable than three birds. Adding another bird to the mix, you never know if it's going to be a collegial relationship or if it's going to be arch enemies with the birds that you already have, and then you'll have fights to the death. There's just no way to know. People have experienced either. Yeah, he's thinking of going somewhere, but I think he's thinking of going to get something, going somewhere to get in trouble. Is that where you want to go? Down there? You can't stay there very long. I'm not going to let you. Gonna watch Naturo? Yep, he left. He left. He flew over to the top of his cage, which is where he is now sitting. And I understand this is kind of boring. You don't have to hang around if you don't feel like it. There are other people who are streaming, and I didn't intend for this to go on for so long. I'm surprised they even hung out. I wish I knew more to tell you about them, other than they're a couple of lazy lumps who don't do much other than eat and sleep most of the time. I had taught both of them some tricks when they were young, like shaking hands and flying to me for on command for a treat, but I've gotten out of the habit of doing that with them repeatedly, and so they don't do that anymore. I tried to teach them to recognize colors for a while, but that never got anywhere. Yeah, and the nice thing about a dog is that you can put the dog in the car and take it somewhere, or you can take the dog to someone's house for a visit sometimes if they're agreeable with dogs, but people don't understand birds. Similarly, if you take a vacation and you need to board your dog or leave someone to take care of them, they know what to do for a dog because almost everyone's been around a dog in their life before, but I don't know anyone who is willing to take care of a flighted bird, and I don't really trust anyone to take care of a flighted bird. So in the past several years, Julie and I haven't got out of town much for more than a day, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. I don't really like traveling much anymore. Yep, no glasses. Yep, no glasses, buddy. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Yeah, in a bigger city, you could probably find a place to board birds, but Duluth is a small town, and even even the one bird vet that we had here in town moved across the river to Wisconsin. So there are not a lot of services around here for pet birds, but in a big city, it probably would not be that much of a problem. You just have to make sure that your birds are vaccinated because there are some pretty bad diseases that birds can transmit to each other. I guess cats are kind of the same way with feline leukemia and stuff. It's a viral disease that a cat can transfer to another cat. And that's another thing. In a bigger city, it's easy to find a vet for them. In a small area like this, it's harder. But we do know one vet within I guess from here within about a 45-minute drive. And generally they only have to go once a year to get a checkup, and they haven't been sick. We have had to take the other bird a couple times to get its beak trimmed, which is an extra visit, but that hasn't happened for a few years, so it's been good. holes in my shirt. You'll notice where I'm sitting here, I do not have a back. I'm sitting on the stool here. And it's quite uncomfortable. And I thought that the chair, I bought a chair, I thought I'd be able to pick it up this afternoon. But the delivery date was changed on me until tomorrow, so I won't have a chair here until tomorrow. And so sitting on the stool without any back support for a couple hours can get pretty uncomfortable. Yeah, he likes the glasses, and the other one does too if he can find them. And little these little plastic things on the end, they will bite those off, and then you'll have to go to the shop and get to get more pieces to slide on there. Proper hygiene for a bird is tough. I don't know how long a bird in the wild typically bathes. Weekly, we try and spray him with water and get him completely wet, and the other bird will not tolerate that. And so we just let him bathe when he wants to bathe, and he will let you know in the kitchen. He'll come over when you've got the water running, and either sit on your hand to stick his foot in the water, or he will actually start trying to bathe in his own water bowl, and then you know I need to set up a bath for him. And so I've got a tray that I set over the kitchen sink that he splashes around in. But this one is easy. You just spray him with water and until he's wet, and then he'll just go and sit somewhere until he dries off, because when they're wet they get really heavy and they can barely fly without crashing to the ground. Yep, they're known to be smart. There is a legendary African gray parrot named Alex, who was considered by his I guess his researcher to be as intelligent as a 2-year-old child, but I think his researcher was biased. But that bird was supposedly able to do simple math problems and such, but I'm not sure about that. But they're pretty intelligent. You can set up mechanical puzzles for them with a treat inside, and if they're dedicated, they don't take very long to figure them out to get the food out. Hey, Lowdown. I told you I might try and let you guys meet the birds. I had T.O. over here for a little bit, but he took off. This is Manny. He's the yellow nape. He's being really nice this evening. Yeah, well, they'll eat dirt too, believe me. You can make them a really nice dinner of fresh fruits and vegetables, and they'll go find something on the bottom of their cage and pick it up and eat it. So they're, you know, yeah, he's big. He's not quite as big as a football, like I mentioned the other day, but he's about probably, I'm going to guess he's over 600 grams. This is the one that talks. He sings some songs, but he will not do it on camera. This is the only one I have like him. The other one is much smaller than him. And he's a different type. And the other one doesn't talk and doesn't sing and doesn't really like me and doesn't interact much with me and usually spends the whole day hiding out when he's not caged up. And this one tends to hang out where the people are. This one likes to be around. I think it probably has something to do with both. I think that Amazon parrots are known to be pretty rowdy and sociable and kind of the life of the party and I actually Jardine's parrots and other Poicephalus parrots, which is um, the genus of that kind of parrot, are there aren't very many of them, so it's hard to find out very much about them. I mean, everything you hear about them is anecdotal, and all I know is that they're relatively quiet compared to other parrots, and they're probably messier than most parrots for their size, and I can attest to that. Yeah, the white stuff that you see on the ground, my God, you would not believe how much snow we still have on the ground. The front yard where we don't get as much sun, there's probably still a foot covering the whole yard. And last year at this time, I was probably already thinking about fertilizing the fruit trees and stuff because it was warm. But this is just the bottom of the barrel this spring, and it's only 30 degrees out there today. You can probably see, yeah, you can't see where I'm pointing on the screen, but just above the white at the bottom of the screen, you can probably see some of the waves from the lake. We live on just about, I don't know, it's probably 15 to 20 feet higher than the level of the lake right here. And once, and only once, and that was this most recent fall, were the waves big enough to crash up into the yard. And we had a set of wooden steps that could take you down onto the rocks, but they washed away and they're never to be found again. Yeah, that's Lake Superior. It's nice to look at, but it's not otherwise nice because it keeps it cold here all the time. And on a summer day when it's 75 degrees somewhere else, it could easily be 45, 50, 55 degrees here, which is not what you're looking forward to in the summer. And sometimes it'll be a beautiful sunny day a mile from here, and it'll be dense fog here. And you can't really swim in it because it's cold. And if you, even in July and August, if you go out there and step into it, it takes your breath away. It's so cold. Um, well, the first bird we got, the first parrot we ever got, Julie brought home without asking me, and I just kind of bonded with me, and I got used to having a parrot, and when he died, I just kind of felt like I needed to have another one. And then we we both, tend to work long days sometimes, and we kind of thought that maybe a bird would like to have the company of another bird when we're not home, and so we have more than one. And when people ask me if birds make good pets, I tell them absolutely not, and you should never get a bird because they're actually very horrible pets. And despite how much fun and funny they can be, they're a lot of work, they're extremely destructive, and they're extremely messy. And it's very hard to find people who can take care of them if you want to go out of town. No, he doesn't bite very much. He's pooping on the floor. Take care of that. Yeah, you can see when I reach up to touch him, it looks like he's biting, but when he's in a good mood, he's not biting. He's just feeling it with his beak. Their beak is like their hand, and so they do a lot of feeling things with their beak. When he's angry and wants to bite, the his pupils will get pinpoint, and he has very bright yellow irises. And then he flares out his tail, and he flattens out his wings, and you can see all of his colors, and he's actually quite scary looking. And then I won't touch him with my hands. And I've got a couple of sticks that I cut off some of the trees out here that are long and curved, and if I need to get him when he's feeling angry, I'll get him to step onto the end of a stick and carry him around that way. But right now he's in a very good mood and very playful. And he's been that way for a couple of weeks now. And he hadn't been that way with me for quite a while, and so I'm actually quite enjoying it. And you can see what I'm doing with him here. People can't do that with their Amazon, so he's really in a good mood. Yeah, well, like I said, I probably would not decide to do it again at this point in my life. It's a huge commitment, and it's almost more than having children because they live forever. He's 13 years old and he's still a young bird, and he's not going to move out, and he's not going to do any chores. Not that kids do any chores anymore, but realistically, I think this bird can be expected to live 50 to 60 years in captivity. Legend has it they can live 80 to 100, but I don't know if that's real. A lot of birds who were legendary long livers like that were caught in captivity, and so no one really knows how old they were. And the other bird that we have, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of data about how long the more uncommon African parrots live. But I would expect that he'll live 30 to 40 years at a minimum because he's bigger than a small parrot, and even small domestic parrots like budgies and cockatiels, they can live, pardon me, 10 to 20 years. Hello. Oh, it was much better than yesterday.
I love the picture.
Oh yeah, wasn't that funny?
Hey, whose screwdriver was that?
That was a set of precision screwdrivers that we have in the department, and I was taking the back off my laptop because the fan's vibrating, and I was trying to get the dust off it, but I think it's just loose, and I'm gonna have to have it fixed. I'm on live here, just so you know, you don't say anything weird, but I was just showing people the birds.
Did you get that information about why I think your chair might have been delayed and they didn't say anything?
No,
I texted you afterwards.
oh no, I didn't see that.
You were just used. Did you set up your voicemail yet?
No, why? I'm being scolded. I didn't set up my voicemail yet,
Oops, I got the mail.
and I got a message that I didn't read. Oh, there was a package bomb incident? Yeah, I didn't hear about that. I don't watch the news. And another one this morning. All right, so that's it. So you'll notice low down that I'm sitting here in the stool without a back on it, and I mentioned to Alk earlier that it's pretty uncomfortable to sit here for very long in a stool without a back on it. And I ordered a chair, and I thought I was going to be able to pick it up today on the way home, but the delivery day changed until tomorrow, and Julie's telling me, oh, that the package bombs involve FedEx, and that's who's delivering the chair, and so it will be tomorrow.
It was coming out of the southeast.
And it was coming out of Kentucky, which is close enough to the southeast to be southeast from here. So
They shipped it out of New Orleans. You said.
no, it came out of Kentucky.
You said New Orleans.
No, I said Kentucky.
Oh,
Oh, but irrespective, that still might explain it.
because they had two packages go through that facility, one earlier,
Okay,
and so they might have just shut things down.
could be, because there was no explanation.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's just a day.
Geo.
The one that you saw low down was a Central South American parrot, and the other parrot that we have is an African parrot. Yeah, Manny left when Julie got home. He left. He's going to go hang with her now because she's going to feed him some junk food, and that is his favorite activity, eating junk food. Yeah, he was over here for a while. This is T.O. He's the Jardine's parrot. He's also 13 years old, and he's less than half the size of Manny, but he's about half the weight. So he's a pretty hefty bird, but he's more dense, and he's a very fast flyer. And he's the one that usually spends most of his days hiding in a cat house that we have set up for him. He's not very social, at least with me. So you thought all parrots were from South America, or you thought all of my parrots were from South America? And what did I do to who? No, there are parrots from. There used to be a parrot native to North America called the Carolina parakeet, but those went extinct, I think, in the 19th century. And there are parrots native to pretty much, I think, all continents other than North America anymore. Cockatoos and budgies and the cockatiels are all native to Australia, and I think some from New Zealand. Oh, yeah, I haven't done anything to these guys but be nice to them, but birds will bond to people for inexplicable reasons. The Jardine's parrot has bonded to Julie, and I largely think that has to do with the fact that I know the people who raised that. I know the people who hand raised both of these birds in town, but of those two, uh, the, the the wife was the only one who handled the Jardines, and so I think that bird has a preference for females because of that. But this bird, this bird on and off will be my sweetheart, and then he will go for periods of time where he can't stand being around me and will actually try and attack me, and I have to be afraid for my life. But like I said, Julie's home, so he's going to get a snack.
Did you get any more animals, Sam?
And now the only interesting thing is gone, and I've been here for a while, and I'm probably going to stop the stream for a bit and go and talk with Julie for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back here and figure out what game I want to play. And whether I stream that or not, I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. How is the picture and sound quality? How is that? Because I have no clue, and I've never streamed this way before. At your recommendation, Alk, I changed the resolution to 720p. The frame rate is still 60, and I think the bit rate is 4500. Right now I'm using the microphone and the webcam, but if I was playing a game I would use my headset, and I know that works. I just have to make sure it works again. I'm guessing that if I wanted to play a game with other people and stream at the same time, I'd probably need a different freestanding microphone, but that's something for the future. Yeah, the audio is a bit low, probably because I'm using the webcam condenser mic. But like I said, if I was playing a game, I'd have the headset on. Sorry about that. But I don't think that they would do well sitting on my shoulder with the headphones on.
I may need a bird taken off.
Oh, okay. Let me get this guy here. There you go. Julie needed help. They were both on her shoulders at the same time.
Well, Tio was coming to bite.
Yeah, they don't always do well when they're that close together. And Tio, they get along pretty well, except when they're both with Julie, because Tio will try and defend her from the Amazon. So that was kind of what was going on.
And he gets behind my back.
Anyway, like I said, I'm going to shut it down here for a while, because I've been on for a while, and Julie just got home, and I'm going to talk to her for a bit. And thanks for showing up, you guys. I appreciate it. I had fun sharing, and maybe you'll see them again sometime. And I'll talk to y'all later tonight, I am sure.
You gonna sing?